this is the kit, and this is the instructions. Now, as you can see, one small problem, it is in Japanese. So, yeah. So inside the kit, you get a pin and a washer, some plugs, a gear, some washer, something, another washer, and a pin kit. So I'm going to go straight onto this one where it says we need 8mm at the top, which we've already got. I've measured that already, so that is good. We don't need to touch that. So the next point is these 4 bolts. So you've got the 4 bolts. I've already pushed these down. You've got like locking pins there. So let's get them out next. That is 8mm from the face to that. So I've adjusted that up a couple of turns. So it looks like that's more at a 90-degree angle, which if we look at the instructions here, I'm guessing that means 90 degrees. So the next one is we need to put that pin into here, which goes into that one there. Then we need to put that plate on the top and then put it back. So let's go ahead and do that. So the pin is in, and then there's another locating one which actually goes inside. So that is now all done. So I'm guessing that's some sort of lock. So according to this, we put the pin in there, put that on, then put that back on. So we shall put that back on, and I presume that's that side done. So that's all now back together. So this obviously makes it more responsive. So as you can tell now, instead of it being 3/4, it now pretty much instantly opens the throttle. So now we move on to the other side. So I'm going to presume that someone's already been in here, because that come off way too easy. Every screw, not a problem. Some of them are even too loose. So here's the gearing. Obviously I don't want to touch it too much, but now we are on to this stage. So I don't actually know. I haven't even read this. So it says 12mm. I presume that's because that's a 12mm. So we need to remove that nut. Then, no idea what that says. So then we remove that, and I'm going to say remove that, and then remove that. So, right, let's get the 12mm, take that off, take that off, take that off. Right, so that is now that off. So that sat on there like that, and then that sat on there like that. So just had to get a very small screwdriver and just prise that off very, very gently. And then obviously that comes off. So the next stage is to get this gear off. It also shows a pulley, so it could be a bit of an arsehole. But yeah, so let's try and get that gear off now. Right, so that's come off. It did take a little bit of persuading, but it's actually just popped off. Now, you've got this spring. And again, I'm guessing, but I don't know what that means. I'm guessing that means that that is supposed to, the spring is supposed to sit flush with that underneath. So looking at this, you want that bottom one, which is the bigger one, needs to go like so, and then needs to go onto this bit here. Then you need to be able to just twist it under tension, so that that bit's up here, because this section, it needs to go onto that, which then sits in there like that. So you need to be able to get the spring on, twisted round and hooked onto that, which is going to be fun. So I need 2 hands for that, but I'll show you exactly how I've done it in a bit. So that was fun. So what I've done was put the pin there, and then I got the screwdriver, prised it all the way around, held it there, held it with my other hand there to hold the spacer in, put that in and tapped it down with a socket, because obviously it was quite snug there. So it is actually in. You can see that it's spring loaded there and the spring there as well. So that's now in. I just made sure that it is in the right direction as well. So it's just showing that the spring is supposed to be there, and that is your plastic housing. It needs to be underneath, not over the top, which it is. So next stage is going to be, looks like we've done that bit. So we want the little O-ring in, which will be this bit. So that's fairly simple. So that's that bit. Oh, hang on a minute. That's actually saying you want a washer on it. Then you want that on. Right, hang on. Need to figure that bit out. 2 seconds. So what it was actually referring to is that white washer actually fits around this brass washer. So you just need to make sure that it's actually in the middle, not overlapping. So then, once we've done that stage, and that looks like we now need to put the gear in, we'll put that gear in, and then we've got to put the lock tab on, and then the washer. So let's get that bit and then put that on. But I just need to make sure I'm actually putting this in the right place. So I will just put the camera down. So we're all in now. It's all lined up. So we put the lock nut back on. Just make sure it's not going to fall off. Happy days. So you got a little bit of play there, but not a lot. So obviously that's probably just going to be your initiation. But yeah, that is all on. Locking tab is on, all in position where it should be. So now we just got to put all the cover back on. So for the keen-eyed viewers that are screaming at the telly saying, what are you doing? Right, so once editing, obviously the car's there, it was all done. We got the new TPS sensor, but when I was editing the video, I noticed, I even said, it's like an initiation. That's not supposed to be there. So we noticed that there was a lot of play. So what I've actually done is obviously that's going to affect the TPS. So I've actually taken all this out, and it wasn't actually on the bump stop. There was a massive gap. So it was about 2 or 3 teeth out. So now what I've done is I've left all the, obviously I haven't adjusted any of the idles. I've actually put it back a couple of pins just to make sure. So now there is no play whatsoever. So that's more what I'd expect it to be. So now all the housing's back on, the TPS is back on. So we're gonna have to reset the TPS, but I'll probably do that in the car. So yeah, now let's go put it back in. So we are now back at the garage. Oh, I love this car. I do love a chaser, but I can't afford one. So anyway, so this is the throttle back together. Now, the one bit that I didn't do in the previous video is we need to do a resistance check. Well, we need to check the TPS. So I've gone through the instruction manuals, and it says that it needs to be at 0.53. So let's get the old skibbity-dip-dip-dips out. So we shall set that to ohms. Always put it at 20k because it gives you a nice reading. So we shall now get the plugs. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, boys and girls. I have already done this when I was at home. So we should have roughly 0.3. So 0.51 is okay. Now, the instructions do state, and they are in Japanese, but I've had to translate them. So in an ideal world, that should be at 0.53. Well, that's what the instructions are saying. I would have thought it would have been on 0, but it is saying it should be on 0.53. So as you can see, we're at 0.54/0.53. Now, what we are going to do is we're just going to twist this, and you can see that that's gone way too far now. So we just need to twist it back until it goes to about 5.3. Now, to be fair, getting this bang on is hard because the second you do these up, it's going to twist anyway. If I get this at 0.53, I'll be amazed, but we'll give it a go. So I've adjusted the TPS, and we are at 0.52. I'm happy with 0.52. So what we've got to do now is we've got to follow the procedure. Well, I'll install it back in the car, and then we've got to follow the procedure, which basically teaches the car where the TPS should be. So obviously it goes without saying as well, whilst you've got the throttle body off, it's worth just literally cleaning inside, cleaning up all the inside there, cleaning up the butterfly. And a little trick as well that most people don't bother, open the actual butterfly itself and clean inside, because obviously that builds up the carbon, and that is, well, any throttle body, not just these JZs or the 1UZs or whatever. All throttle bodies are prone for doing that. So you want to just literally open up the butterfly and clean it all up just to stop sticking. Right, back to it.
I like to be educated, but I'm so frustrated. Hello to my loneliness. I guess that ignorance is bliss. Take me back to before I knew. Rewind, take it out of cue. Innocence can be a young man's game. Signed up for the hall of shame. I wish I knew how much I miss not knowing that we're all screwed when we play our roles and ignore the problem.
So the throttle body is now all back in, cable is on, plugged in. We haven't plugged this one in because now we've installed it. I'm just going to quickly do a resistance test and make sure that that's all on. That's all on, that's all nice and secure. So we're all good to go. I did find this, his radiator hoses, that's his fans. That wasn't very secure, so I've just secured that. I need to redo that because that's wonky and that's going to annoy me. But yeah, so we'll do the resistance test, make sure it's still at 5.2, 5.3, and then start the sequence. So I don't know how much of this you can read, but this is basically the instructions. So it says, since the position of the throttle position sensor has been changed, after start the engine, please wait until idle state until it is completely warmed up. After warming up, check that the idling is stable at 6,500 to 700 RPM. If the idle is high, 1,000 to 1,500 RPM, start the engine by following the steps below. Please restart. Stop the engine once and disconnect all connectors from the genuine computer. Readjust the resistant value slightly higher than the resistance value adjusted in step 18. After about 30 seconds to 1 minute, connect all the connectors of the genuine computer. Start the engine, and after about 1 to 2 minutes, check that the idle becomes stable. If the idle is still high, even after performing the steps above, dirt may be accumulated in the throttle body, in the throttle butterfly section. After cleaning thoroughly, using parts cleaner or engine conditioner, perform the adjustment in the adjustment screw. Once the idling has stable to 650 to 700 RPM, leave it idling for about 5 minutes. Then turn on the air conditioner for about 5 minutes, and then turn the headlights for about 5 minutes to let it learn on its own. At this time, the idle speed will increase slightly. Finally, turn off the engine, restart, and confirm that the check engine light does not come on. So basically, start it up, let it warm up, let it drop to where it's supposed to be. If it's idling at between 650 and 700 RPMs, result. Leave it for a couple of minutes, turn the air conditioning on, turn the lights on, if this has still got aircon. I don't know if this has still got aircon, but start it up, and yeah, so let's do that. So as you can tell, the engine is basically revving to 2000 revs and will not come down. So I did a resistance test on the TPS sensor. It turns out the TPS sensor had gone. So I am just waiting for the customer to come with a new one. But I have managed to sort of repair the other one. I've cleaned it up and it seems to be doing the job. So I will go through the sequence and then hopefully I'll film it afterwards as well, after I've actually fitted the new TPS sensor, and we'll do it again. So the sequence is, obviously you have to it says to disconnect the ECU, but I've just disconnected the battery because it's the same thing. So then what you do is you let it run for a couple of minutes, wait for the idle to go up and then the idle to go back down. Then you put the aircon on, which I don't think this has anymore, and then you put the lights on so that the ECU can adapt to it. So you leave it running for 5 minutes for it to basically recognize where the TPS is and learn it, so to speak. Then obviously the big draws are your aircon and your lights. So it then needs to pick up the revs to then put the alternator in, even though he hasn't got the smart alternator plugged in by the looks of it. But that is the sequence, so I will just do that now. This car is actually warm, but I have disconnected the battery for 5 minutes just to show you guys how to do the procedure. So obviously this is warm, like I said, so I'm just going to put the battery back on now. Just tighten that up. Nice and tight. So now what we are going to have to do is unlock the car and then turn the car on. Now, if this was cold, the revs would obviously pick up, and then as it warms off, it would slowly die down. But this engine is already, yeah, what you said, the engine's already hot, so I presume it's just going to go straight up and then straight back down. But we shall have a look. So we'll start her up, as I presumed. So obviously your idle should be, when it's cold, it'll probably go up to about 1,000 or so, and then you want it to drop down to about 650, 700. So at the moment we are on the lower side, so I'll probably pick that up. I'm going to leave it for 5 minutes, let it idle. It might learn itself and pick up. See, revs are picking up already. So this is why you have to leave it for 5 minutes. Now, if that was revving to about 1,300, 1,500 revs, it means that the TPS is set to the wrong position. So you'll have to turn the car off, take the battery off again, adjust the TPS, obviously, depending on which way, if it's too low or too high, you need to adjust it that way, put it back in, plug it in, do the whole sequence again. But like I said, I've already done it with this car, so I know that that idle is bang on. So I'll leave this for a couple of minutes now, just to adapt and learn itself. After 5 minutes, I will put the aircon on, even though I don't think it's connected, and I will put the lights on just for the ECU to adapt and learn itself. So it's now been 5 minutes, so I'll put the aircon on, heater on full blast, and I'll put the lights on. So now what we'll do is we're going to leave it for 5 minutes, let the ECU learn itself, learn all the positions that it needs to be in, turn it off, start it again, make sure it's right. So I've now let it die off and give it 5 minutes. So now what I will do, so I shall just check it again, start it up, make sure all the revs are right. She'll start talking to me. That's so cool. Anyway, so yeah, everything is good to go. So started up perfect, sat idling perfect. So now and it goes straight back to where it should be. So I'm happy with that now. I will fit the new TPS sensor because that is very temperamental, that sensor. It is working at the moment, but it could fail at any time. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you learned something. If you didn't, then sorry. That is how you do the throttle bypass on a 2JZ, even though it's in a chaser. But not much of a better combo than that, is there? But yeah, so for everyone out there that is interested, I have now got merch. Yes, I have gone down that route and I am now selling merch. So anyone that wants to support the channel, get yourself a nice Gorilla Garage hoodie or a cup or whatever. Yeah, have a look in the on the channel. The shop's on the channel as well. But yeah, just if you want to buy something, thank you very much. Also, everyone on the Facebook group, it is, well, when is this going to go live? This is going to go live in February 2024. So for anyone watching and is in the UK or Ireland, I am arranging a meet here. It will be Sora's, but I don't care who turns up, if I'm honest. It's just going to be a bit of a social meet. It will have a lot to do with the Sora Owners Club, my one and Tom's one. But yeah, if you wanted to come along, then obviously just be respectful because I do have to pay rent and I don't want to piss off the landlord. But yeah, if you want to come, then it's looking like the 27th of April. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to press the buttons.